losing her parents, Ada was forced to live under the cruelty of her stepmother. They sent her into a forest meant to kill her, but she returned with wealth beyond imagination. Blinded by greed, they decided to follow the same path. But this time, the forest was not merciful.
What? No! These aren't treasures! Nkechi screamed. Ngozi widened her eyes in disbelief as evil creatures poured out of the broken egg in impossible numbers, far more than could ever fit inside such a small shell. They just kept coming and coming and coming. Serpents slithered out black mambas, cobras, vipers, scorpions scuttled across the floor, their tails raised and ready to strike. Spiders of every size emerged, some as large as a hand. Soldier ants poured out in rivers of black, their mandibles snapping. Wasps and bees filled the air, their buzzing, angry and loud. A serpent struck her ankle, its fangs sinking deep. A scorpion stung her hand. Soldier ants crawled up her legs, biting viciously. "The door! Get to the door!" Ngozi shrieked, clawing at the locked entrance. But in their panic, they couldn't find the latch. Their hands were shaking too badly, and the room was filling with creatures, crawling up the walls, covering the floor, swarming through the air. "Mother, break the other egg. Maybe that one has the treasures," Nkechi cried desperately. In her panic and stupidity, she grabbed the second egg and smashed it. Even more creatures poured out. The room was now thick with them. You could barely see the walls anymore. Bees stung their faces. Wasps attacked their necks. Spiders bit their arms. Scorpions stung again and again. Soldier ants covered their legs in living, biting blankets. "Help! Someone help us!" Ngozi screamed, pounding on the door with swelling hands.
You must prepare carefully. We'll send you exactly as Ada was sent. The same time of the day, the same day of the week. Everything must be the same for it to work. Nkechi jumped up and hugged her mother. "Thank you, mother. You will see, I'll bring back even more treasures than Ada." Ngozi stroked her daughter's hair, her face troubled. "Just be careful, my child." The fourth market day arrived. The full moon would rise that night. Ngozi had arranged everything exactly as it had been for Ada. But unlike Ada, who had left with dread and fear, Nkechi was excited. She practically bounced as she prepared to leave. "I'll be back tomorrow, mother, with treasures." Ngozi looked worried despite herself. "Remember everything Ada told you. Help the old man, be respectful. Only take 2 eggs. Yes, I know." Nkechi waved dismissively. She set off toward the forest with a light, confident step. Ada watched from the doorway, a worried expression on her face. Nkechi entered the forest with none of Ada's fear. To her, this was an adventure, a treasure hunt. She walked quickly, eager to reach the old man and get her reward. When she saw the Groot-hunched creature with its patchy fur and horrible laugh-cry sound, she wrinkled her nose in disgust. "Ah, disgusting." She hurried past it without the fear Ada had felt, but also without Ada's compassion or wonder. When the deep booming voice echoed through the trees, "What are you doing here, child?" Nkechi put on a performance. "I'm looking for a flower," she cried, forcing tears into her voice just as she had practiced. My mother sent me. She'll beat me if I don't bring it back. She's so cruel to me." "This is not a place for the living." "I know," Nkechi sobbed dramatically, "but I have no choice. Please, I'm so scared. I'm so afraid. I'll die here." There was silence. Then the voice spoke again, but its tone was different, colder, knowing. "Proceed, then." Nkechi smiled to herself as she continued walking, pleased with her acting. At the stream, when the melodic voice warned her, "Turn back, child. What you see comes with a price." Ikechi won't hide her annoyance. I know about the price, I'll pay it. Now let me through, she snapped. The voice said nothing more, but there was a sense of disappointment in its silence. Nkechi saw the old man struggling with his firewood. She approached, but her expression was calculating rather than genuine concern. Let me help you with that, she called out. Her voice too loud, too cheerful, forced. She grabbed the firewood and hoisted it onto her head. Immediately, her face twisted in discomfort. It was heavy, and she wasn't used to carrying loads like Ada was. She'd never done real work in her life. Thank you, child, the old man said, watching her carefully. Of course, I'm always happy to help elderly people. I respect my elders so much. Nkechi's voice was saccharine sweet, obviously false. The old man said nothing, just began walking. Nkechi followed, already grumbling under her breath about the width and the distance. They reached the hut. Nkechi practically threw the firewood down inside, rubbing her neck and shoulders with exaggerated groans. Sit, rest, eat. The old man offered her the same simple meal he had given Ada, pounded yam and thin vegetable soup. Nkechi looked at it with barely concealed disgust. She was used to the best food, the choicest pieces of meat, rich palm oil stews. Oh, thank you. She forced a smile. She took a tiny bite, chewed slowly, then pushed the bowl aside. Actually, I'm not very hungry. The journey wasn't that hard. The old man's eyes gleamed with knowledge, seeing right through her. Sleep then. Actually, I was wondering. Nkechi leaned forward eagerly. My sister said you had a special tree with eggs. Could I see it? Her greed was plain on her face. The old man looked at her for a long moment. Your sister helped an old man without asking for anything in return. She showed kindness in a place of fear. I did too. I helped you, Nkechi said quickly. Yes, you did. She stood slowly. Sleep now. In the morning, I will give you what you have earned. Nkechi lay down on the mat, but she couldn't sleep. She tossed and turned, her mind full of thoughts of treasures. She imagined herself wearing more gold than Ada, finer wrappers, being the center of attention in the village. She would finally be the important one, the admired one. Nkechi woke up early, sitting up immediately. The old man was already awake, watching her. Is it morning? Can I see the tree now? You are eager. Of course. I'm just excited to see what my sister saw. She said it was beautiful. Come then. He led her behind the hut to the magnificent tree. Nkechi's eyes went wide, not with wonder, but with naked greed. She stared at all the different eggs, mentally calculating their worth. You may take 2 eggs, only 2, the old man said firmly. Nkechi barely listened. Only 2, but there are so many. Only 2. His voice carried a warning. Yes, 2 eggs. Nkechi quickly grabbed 2 of the largest, most ornate eggs she could find, not caring about their beauty, only their size. And remember, break them only when you are completely alone. I will. She was already turning to leave. The old man produced the flower. Here, the flower you were seeking. Nkechi snatched it from his hand. Thank you. She was already walking away. The path. Yes, I see it. Thank you. She rushed down the path without any gesture of real gratitude. No bow, no pressing her forehead to the ground, no heartfelt thanks beyond hollow words. The old man watched her go, his expression sad. So be it, he whispered. Nkechi ran along the path, the egg clutched tightly in her hands. She emerged at the village edge within minutes, just as Ada had. But unlike Ada, who had been thoughtful and wondering about the mysterious old man, Nkechi was simply triumphant and greedy. Mother, mother, I'm back, she shouted, running. Ngozi rushed out of the house. Nkechi, you are safe. You got them. Nkechi held up the 2 eggs, her face glowing with excitement. I did. And mother, these eggs are bigger than Ada's. We are going to be even richer. Ngozi hugged her daughter. Thank God you are safe. Come, we need to break them right now. The old man said you must be alone but you are my mother. You are not like other people. Come with me. Nkechi grabbed Ngozi's hand. I want you there when we see all our treasures. We will be the richest in the whole village. Ngozi hesitated, but remembered what Ada had said about being completely alone. But Nkechi pulled at her arm. Ada doesn't need to know. Come. Against her better judgment, Ngozi allowed herself to be pulled into the house. They went to Ngozi's room, the largest in the house. Help me make sure everything is sealed, Nkechi commanded. Together, they locked the door from the inside. They tossed and latched the window shutters. They even stuffed clothes under the door to block the gap, making sure no one could see in. Outside, Ada had returned home from the market. She heard voices in Ngozi's room, but thought nothing of it, going about her business. Inside the sealed room, Nkechi placed the first egg on the floor. Her hands were trembling with excitement. Ready, mother? Ngozi nodded, though she felt a growing sense of unease. Yes. Nkechi smashed the egg against the floor. At first, there was light, just like with Ada's egg, but this light was different. It was dark, greenish, sickly, the color of rot and decay. And then they came. Serpents slithered out, black mambas, cobras, vipers, scorpions scuttled across the floor, their tails raised and ready to strike. Spiders of every size emerged, some as large as a hand. Soldier ants poured out in rivers of black, their mandibles snapping. Wasps and bees filled the air, their buzzing angry and loud. They poured out of the broken egg in impossible numbers, far more than could ever fit inside such a small shell. They just kept coming and coming and coming. What? No! These aren't treasures! Nkechi screamed. A serpent struck her ankle, its fangs sinking deep. A scorpion stung her hand. Soldier ants crawled up her legs, biting viciously. The door! Get to the door! Ngozi shrieked, clawing at the locked entrance. But in their panic, they couldn't find the latch. Their hands were shaking too badly, and the room was filled with creatures crawling up the walls, covering the floor, swarming through the air. Mother! Break the other egg! Maybe that one has the treasures! Nkechi cried desperately. In her panic and stupidity, she grabbed the second egg and smashed it. Even more creatures poured out. The room was now thick with them. You could barely see the walls anymore. Bees stung their faces. Wasps attacked their necks. Spiders bit their arms. Scorpions stung again and again. Soldier ants covered their legs in living, biting blankets. Help! Someone help us! Ngozi screamed, pounding on the door with swelling hands. But the door was locked from inside. The windows were sealed shut, and the cloth they stuffed under the door muffled their screams so that no one in the compound could hear clearly. Outside, Ada was in the compound when she heard muffled screaming. She looked up, alarmed. Mama Ngozi, Nkechi. She ran to the door of Ngozi's room, trying the handle. It was locked. Mama, the door is locked. Open it. The screaming continued, but the words were unintelligible, just pure terror and agony. Someone, help, help, help me break down the door. Neighbors came running from nearby compounds. Together, they threw their weight against the door. Once, twice, 3 times. Finally, the door broke open. Everyone stumbled back in horror. The room was filled with dead and dying creatures, snakes with crushed heads, spiders coiled in death, scorpions still twitching, bees and wasps littering the floor, and in the center of it all, 2 bodies. Ngozi and Nkechi lay motionless, their bodies swollen beyond recognition. Their faces were distorted, barely human, covered in hundreds of bites and stings. Their arms and legs were bloated to twice their normal size, their skin discolored purple and black. Their eyes were swollen shut, their lips had turned blue. Ada screamed, her hand flying to her mouth. She felt her stomach turn. Oh God, one of the village women whispered, making protective signs. What happened here? A village man asked, his voice shaking. Ada saw the broken eggshells on the floor. Two of them, both cracked open. Understanding dawned on her face, followed by horror and grief. She took her mother with her, Ada whispered. The old man said, he said to break them alone, completely alone. She sank to the ground, overwhelmed. Despite everything Ngozi and Nkechi had done to her, all the cruelty, all the abuse, all the suffering they had caused, she felt no joy, only a deep aching sadness at the waste of it all. Several days later, the entire village gathered for the burial of Ngozi and Nkechi. It was a sober affair. People whispered about what had happened, about the eggs and the forest and the old man. Ada stood at the gravesite, her face drawn. She wore a simple white wrapper, the color of mourning, and her eyes were red from crying. Papa Eze, one of the village elders, spoke to the gathered crowd. Let this be a lesson to us all. Greed brings no blessing. Cruelty finds its way home, and the spirits of the forest see everything. They know what is in our hearts. The villagers murmured in agreement, nodding solemnly. After this ceremony, several village elders approached Ada. Ada, you are alone now, one elder said gently. Yes, elder. The house was your father's. It is yours now, by right. No one will dispute your claim. Aha, yes, thank you. Another elder stepped forward. And we have been discussing among ourselves. There are several young men who have wished to court you. Good men from good families. We turned a blind eye before when Ngozi sent them away, and we regret that. But now, he smiled kindly. Now you are free to choose your own path. Ada looked up, surprised. For the first time in years, she felt a small spark of hope. 3 months passed. Ada transformed her father's house. She made repairs that had been long neglected. She planted flowers in the compound, hibiscus and bougainvillea that bloomed in bright color. She painted the walls with fresh white clay. The whole place seemed lighter, more welcoming. She used her wealth wisely, not flaunting it, but sharing it with the community. She helped build a new well for the village. She provided food for widows and orphans. She became known not just for her beauty, but for her kindness and generosity. One afternoon, a well-dressed young man approached her house. His name was Chike, from a wealthy family in a neighboring village. He heard about Ada and had come to meet her properly. Good afternoon, Ada, he said respectfully. Ada smiled. Good afternoon, Chike. I have brought something for you. He presented her with a small basket of fresh mangoes and udara fruit. You are too kind. Please come, sit. They sat together under a tree in her compound, talking and laughing. Ada's face was bright with genuine happiness. Chike was kind, intelligent, and respectful. Over the following weeks, he visited often, and they fell in love. 6 months after Ngozi and Nkechi's death, the village square was decorated with palm fronds and colorful clothes. Music played, drums and flutes, filling the air with joyous sound. People danced and celebrated. Ada dressed in beautiful bridal wrappers and adorned with coral beads and gold jewelry, danced with her new husband, Chike. She was radiant, glowing with happiness. Her wrapper was the finest indigo, with gold thread woven through it. The coral beads at her neck were the color of sunset. She looked like a queen. The village women ululated, celebrating the union. Children ran around with palm fronds, laughing. Elders nodded approvingly, drinking palm wine and sharing kola nuts. As Ada spawned in the dance, laughing at something Chike whispered in her ear, she caught sight of a figure at the edge of the celebration. An old man stood there, slightly apart from the crowd. He was watching her with a gentle smile on his withered face. Their eyes met. Ada's breath caught in her chest. Her heart skipped. She blinked and he was gone, vanished as if he had never been there. Ada smiled softly, her hand moving to her chest. Thank you, she whispered, knowing somehow that he could hear her. Ada and Chike had a long and happy marriage. They had 5 children, 3 daughters and 2 sons, all of whom grew up knowing love and kindness. Ada never forgot the lessons of the evil forest. She taught her children to be generous, to help others without expecting reward, to show compassion even to those who might not deserve it. She never became cruel or bitter despite everything she'd suffered. Instead, her suffering had refined her, making her more empathetic, more understanding of others' pain. She became known through the region as a woman of wisdom and kindness. People came to her for advice, for help, for comfort, and she never turned anyone away.